All right, so the Aries partner. So first of all, if you're dealing with an Aries person, you know that you should know they're ruled by Mars. And Mars is the planet of domination and aggression. And so in some area of their life, most Aries people like to kind of be in charge. Doesn't necessarily mean it's always the relationship. But remember, like that Mars energy is going to produce somebody who is very confident in themselves or very confident about the direction they want things to go in. And so a lot of times if you are dealing with an Aries person, more than likely they initiated the contact, or they initiated the conversation, or maybe if they didn't initiate it, they initiated the relationship, because Aries is not going to be very shy about how they feel. Even shy Aries people, I've noticed that, like even Aries people who are not very outspoken or outgoing on the regular, when they want something, they're gonna go for it. Okay, because remember, you're thinking about Aries energy, and this is like very forthright. It lacks the fear that other signs might have. And so that sometimes can be a positive, because a lot of times you don't have to worry about, if you like this Aries person, they actually like you, they're gonna try to attempt to date you or whatever this case may be, right? Now, because their passion is very strong. I say first sign of the zodiac is Aries, passion. Last sign of the zodiac is Pisces, compassion. And so with that passion, like Aries is cardinal fire. And so when they want to experience something, whether it's an endeavor, life, or relationship, they're going to go for it. Okay. And so how do you know if an Aries person likes you? They're gonna put a lot of effort in, actually. Now remember, Aries is not the most tactful sign, and so sometimes they're not going to woo you with their words necessarily, or woo you with gifts or things like that. Most likely they're going to woo you with their actions, or they're going to want to take you out, or they're going to be the ones initiating everything, right? And so that's how sometimes you can tell if an Aries person is interested in you, or they like you. Or if you're in a marriage and you're like, well, how do I tell if my Aries person is still attracted to me or still wants me? Well, you're going to see in their actions. What do? Aries people don't mind doing things for the people they care about. That is where you'll notice, because Aries is the sign of self. And so many Aries people, their lens is through themselves first. And it doesn't mean they're all selfish, but it does mean like their default is to experience life, and their experience is about themselves. And so a lot of Aries people have to learn how to include other people in a way that makes those people feel valued and wanted. Now, depending on your chart, it might be easier, right? You can be an Aries with a Libra moon and a Pisces rising and a Venus in Pisces, and you're probably going to it's much easier for you to include the people you care about in your life. But that's how you'll know if an Aries really likes you, because Aries is more about like themselves. And remember, they're about the experience. They're about, experiencing life, having enthusiasm for life, and what it brings. And also this idea of, being instinctual, like whatever kind of hits their spirit, they want to do it. Now, the thing with that is that it's cardinal, so there's direction. And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand. Like, actually, Aries and Sagittarius can both be impulsive a little bit. Sagittarius' impulsiveness is more so like some type of ideology, right? Some type of purpose they think is going to happen. Whereas Aries impulsiveness is about the direction, the goal, the thing. This is what I want. I'm getting that. But I have to physically do things. I'm action oriented with it. Whereas Capricorn is like, I'm going to work for it. And Aries is like, I'm going to go get that. I'm going to go figure this out. And so that's the approach a lot of them have with in these relationships. Remember, you have to understand, like, Aries energy is more action oriented. And so sometimes as a partner, you're going to have arguments, right? And so how will you, a lot of us who are more Mercury ruled, if you're ruled by Mercury or Gemini, Virgo, or any sign that is more about thought or communication, maybe even like a Libra or an Aquarius, maybe not Libra, because Aries and Libra are opposite signs. So there's more of a shared energy there, actually. But what you're going to notice is like, you might want an apology from them, or you want to talk things out. Even if your moon is in an air sign or a Virgo, like you might want to talk things out. You want to, or if you're a Cancer and Aries is a very interesting combination, because Aries can be a little bit too blunt to let tact for Cancer's feelings. So that's not always a good combination, but again, you have to look at the two individuals. But what you're going to notice is that Aries is going to show you they're sorry about what they do. If an Aries is apologizing to you, that shows that they care. And I'm not saying this to be like condescending, because they're like, well, of course people apologize. No, there are some signs that apologize just to keep the peace. They don't really mean it, right? There's some people who apologize, but Aries is not really one to apologize. Aries likes to think they're right a lot of the time. Aries can sometimes be overly confident. And so that's why sometimes you can definitely get into these power struggles in relationships with an Aries person, depending on who you are, right? Because especially I'm thinking like Aries and Capricorn might work really well together in work, but in a relationship, that's two cardinal energies and they're different. Capricorn's way of doing things is going to be way more methodical, and Aries' way of doing things is going to be way more, spontaneous, right? Take a chance, let's take a risk, right? And so that's what I'm saying with that is like you're going to see those differences there, because Aries does not like to make things overly complicated. And so if you want an apology from them, sometimes they're not going to give it. But if they are apologizing to you, that means they really care about you. Aries can put a lot of energy into what they actually care about. You have some signs that want to care about everybody, or sometimes they want to be nice to everybody. But Aries is more so very, very focused on themselves. And if you are a part of their world, they're going to do for you, right? It's not the same as Leo energy, where Leo energy is more giving to everyone, right? Whether they're close to them or not. But Aries is more so like about the self. So if you're an extension of them, right? They're going to care a lot about you and probably do a lot for you. Now, remember, you have to understand that like Aries doesn't prefer structure. And so in a relationship, y'all might have to work through that if you are somebody who likes structure and order and planning things out, because you might say to your Aries partner, hey, 6 months from now, we're going to do, and they might say, wait a minute, can we just worry about that when we get to it? Like worry about now. And so that's where you're going to see some differences there. Even the most successful Aries people kind of, can just be very spontaneous about getting things done. Like they're not really thinking about a year from now or 2 years from now, right? Their plan is more so about the now. Get the now done. Do this, do that, do that. And when something comes up, they're not afraid to. That's what you understand about energy. Aries people, or Aries energy people, heavily Aries energy people, whatever the case may be, they're not afraid like other signs. Other signs have reservations. Taurus needs to feel comfortable, right, in their environment. Cancer needs to feel emotionally comfortable before doing something. Virgo likes to know, it can worry, be anxious, so they like to know what's expected so they can analyze it beforehand. Aries doesn't have those same blockages that other signs might have. And so Aries is not planning because they're not afraid to conquer whatever problem comes their way. Do you see what I'm saying? Whereas other signs, and again, there's pros and cons to that type of thought, because sometimes you have to put thought into something to anticipate what's going to happen. And if you just wait for the problem to blow up in your face, that's a problem, because now it's like you could have prevented the problem if you just listened to this person. But again, depends on the situation. And so, in general with Aries, there's always that kind of child energy too. First sign of the zodiac. By child energy, I don't care how mature an Aries person is, there's usually some type of childish activity they like, or some type of very not juvenile, but like a very like fun pastime. You might find an adult Aries person who still like watches cartoons or has action figures, or someone who's very playful, very joking. They joke a lot. Everything's a joke, or they play a lot. That's they're lighthearted. And so a lot of times, and you'll see that in Aries energy people, there's always this kind of need, and some of them it translates to neediness. So for some people, some Aries energy people, it's more playfulness, right? They're very playful, they're not super serious or super structured. Whereas you have some on the flip side of Aries partnership, or Aries people they're very immature or bratty, and they think everything should go their way, and they're not listening to what anyone else has to say. Because remember, think about the first sign of the zodiac. I'm not saying there aren't mature Aries, there are. I'm saying that the energy is eventually going to show up somewhere, because you have to understand, when you're the first sign, or the first, everything's about you, right? And so you're not like a Libra who's going to say, like, let me think about the other side. Let me think about everybody else. Let me think about how other people think about this. Your natural go-to as an Aries is yourself and protecting your ego and how experiences happen and funnel through you. And Aries is a big proponent. If they didn't see it, it didn't happen. They don't easily believe things that they have not personally experienced, okay? And so that's something you're going to also have to realize with the Aries partner, is that there is this tendency for them to funnel everything through only them. And so understanding from their point of view does sometimes require a lot of breaking down the communication, because it's not going to be easy at first. I do think that you have Aries people who can kind of forgive and forget. They're not really holding grudges too much. Again, the one thing I do think is good about Aries, I think they're transparent. What you see is what you get, whether it's good or bad. Whether it's good or bad, what you see is what you get. You know, they're not a very overly complicated sign, and I don't say that as like a diss or anything like that, because I'm like, some people complicate things for no reason. So I think that Aries is very much like, this is what it is, and we're gonna go with this, and this is a relationship, so this is how you act in a relationship. So I do think like that's a positive to Aries energy, is like, this is what they are, and you're gonna take it or you're gonna leave it. There isn't that. Some signs have like the mind games thing going on. Now again, you have to look at someone's whole chart, because if you're watching the video like, that doesn't sound like my Aries, you need to go to their chart, because I'm sure their chart is going to explain why there's a difference. However, what I've noticed, even in an Aries person who only has one Aries placement, which is the Sun, there's always going to be elements of Aries in that person. And that is what you have to understand, because sometimes you'll be in a situation with someone, you're like, why did they react that way? And you go back to the chart and you realize why. All right, so that is it for the Aries partner. Thank you for watching.